It was one day many years ago in the Bahamas when I was a little boy. I wandered into my mother's closet. There were so many clothes, but none of them were for me. Wigs, heels. I put them on, and boy, I was strutting for a few seconds. I knew somehow, some way that what I was doing was wrong, but there was no sick sexual perversion or something evil within me that drove my actions. I was just curious. I knew that I shouldn't be doing this, but I felt normal. But don't get catch now. Maybe I told myself that a bit too much. The first time I wore a dress was more than 10 years later. I watched myself in the mirror with horror, disgusted at my curves. How can a dress fit me this well? How sick must I be? I turned to the side and posed. Mixed feelings of wonder and disgust filled my psyche, but there was also a shame so deep and vast that I felt that I was violating the fabric with my body, an eye within my eye, telling me that I shouldn't just be ashamed, I shouldn't just cast myself into shadow, no, I should burn. I took off the dress, but the shame lingered in the air like it was poisoned, like I had been poisoned by my actions. The homophobia outside was alive and thriving within me, feeding off my identity like some cancer. And in the Caribbean, this sickness is common. Because I am Bahamian, because I am black, because I refuse to let these aspects of myself go. Being non-binary kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. So let's start with the Caribbean. So I'm Bahamian, born, bred, cadet, all of that. Kissed by the sun, baptized by the ocean, type shit, type shit. We are a very eccentric people.
But there could have been another reason for the call, and so Rodney, Mr. Freedom March, could you stop marching, take your seat, and let us continue with the results, please, sir.
I mean, we revel in the absurdity of living where we live. Nassau isn't a real place, it's a common phrase that everybody is saying. But the thing you need to know about the Bahamas is that it is a paradise on earth. At least that's what the odds say. And it is a paradise in the sense that I love the warmth and the feeling of safety that it gives me despite everything. But is it actually a paradise? Physically? Literally? Fuck no. I ain't gonna lie to you. Hell no. There's a lot to say on living in the Bahamas, but we talking about queerness. So, what's it like to live as a queer person in the Bahamas?
I'm Bahamian. Been closeted in real life, then express myself way more on social media. Now debating the pros and cons of that. When you can find acceptance spaces, it's nice, but those are hard to find. I struggle to find real connections even on a friendship level because I feel a need to hide a side of me that's really integral to my existence. It can feel hopeless at times. I can't even transition there like I want to. It sucks, and honestly, the self-hatred I felt because of others' opinions almost cost me my life.
But where does all this hatred come from, though? I mean, if we're being honest, it all comes back to slavery, and you shouldn't be surprised, because the roots with that go very deep. During the transatlantic slave trade, the Caribbean became a hotspot for plantations and subsequent oppression because of its favorable climate, acting as a keystone location for the trade. The Africans that were stolen from their land were subjected to horrific cruelties, including mass rape. And I choose to actually say the word instead of just censoring it, because even though YouTube might demonetize me, we live with the consequences of these atrocities every day. There were certain behavioral patterns that were introduced during slavery that entrenched existing heteronormativity, such as using black male studs as slave breeders, which reinforced a kind of masculinity that was ranked. If you were going to be a man selected to reproduce with a woman who was selected, that would heighten the status of the male. That was one factor that has led to a kind of privileging of heterosexual normativity. We live in a post-apocalyptic world of slavery, and the fallout can be seen in the way we act. And yes, I mean everybody. The idea that black men specifically need to perform a sort of level of masculinity goes back to slavery. Otherwise, we are weak and effeminate and basically what I'm doing right now.
So for these reasons, that's why I'm non-binary.
Ha! Gay!
I ain't even like my.
But more on this later. We also need not neglect the role of religion, because Africans wasn't a fan of Big J when they actually came to America until Big J became the path to freedom, the path to civility. And it was this adherence to Christian philosophy, which is what a lot of African and enslaved people believed would sort of elevate them out of this oppressive, violent, disturbing environment that they found themselves in. You know, like when somebody gets kidnapped and then they decide to bond with their captor, Stockholm syndrome. Like I said, this goes very deep. It's this strict adherence to Christian philosophy, which means that if anything is deemed as being sinful or even being seen as kind of a sort of thing, that's gonna be taboo, and taboo bad. Caribbean ideas surrounding respectability usually stem from fundamentalist Christian beliefs. This trend continues today, exemplified by an increase in anti-LGBTQ+ beliefs and violence against queer Caribbean peoples. Now, I could sit here and honestly, genuinely waste your time arguing about whether or not being gay is a sin in the Bible. Here's the why. Jesus Christ himself could have been quoted to say that I hate sissies and it would make no difference to me. This is the same book they used to justify slavery with. If there's already a historical precedent set that people will use the Bible to justify absolutely horrible things, right? Why should I then turn the other way when people start saying that being gay is a sin? What do you think they were saying about us, you know? And even still, I don't know if I just misunderstand the characterization of Jesus Christ, but I really don't think that he would be rocking with the bigots. But to those that are practicing the faith, if there's any sort of speculation in regards to sinful behavior, that's enough for them to boycott it for life. I mean, this is a matter of life and death. Literally, people are looking out for their souls now. Nobody wants to go to hell and be tortured for all of eternity.
Because the Bahamas is a Christian nation, there are definitely more leniencies allowed for injustices against us. We make for allowances for religious ideologies pushed on us. We have to use roundabout ways to get what we need instead of fighting discrimination. And we make allowances for hate speech and unaccepting families. It's sometimes terrifying, seeing as this is a very small country. Everybody knows everybody, and standing out makes you easily recognizable. I often have to be more reserved in my gender and sexuality expression in public to protect myself from hate speech, harassment, and well-meaning older folk who think it's their job to spread the gospel to the sinners.
But think about this, because there's a forgotten mass to this social tendency. What happens when a queer person is still religious? What happens to someone when they have to live their entire life with this thought in the back of their mind, like, if I let my inner sinfulness, if I let that take over, I will go to hell forever? What would that do to your identity? I really do pity these queer people in the Caribbean, in Africa, anywhere really, that feel chained and shackled by their religious and spiritual beliefs. You can't really change who you are on the inside. And I really don't think that all these religions and spiritual systems, all of the mysticism, the magic, the miracles, none of it can handle someone deciding that they want to just kiss boys. That's lame as hell. Like, that is so shallow. That's so lame. You telling me there's a whole other dimension where we go when we die? But kissing boys is a little too much. That doesn't make sense. That's outside of the realm of feasibility. You know, that's just sinful. That's just demonic. Why? Genuinely, why? Genuinely, why? When you really press people about things like this, their reasoning just goes to, it's a sin, it's in the Bible, and that's where it ends, because that's where the thinking stops. Unfortunately, a lot of people are religious out of convenience. It provides convenient answers. It provides a convenient life. If I live this way, my life will be this way. This is a sin, so I have to avoid it. I'm not gonna think about it, because if I think about it, that's me being sinful, and I'm not the cycle continues. But luckily, times are changing. The year is 2026. And the chains of bigotry and hatred are loosening in some places, you know? To truly express ourselves as queer people, as queer people. I fucking lying, boy. The hegemony. The hegemony of heterosexuality and race means that even though I say I'm non-binary, because of my complexion and because of the way I actually appear, niggas just don't believe me, bro. Or they just don't understand. Let's dig into that. What does a man look like? A lot of y'all still thinking in binary, but these thoughts are non. Well, a man is someone with a penis, obviously. That's such a shallow understanding of what it means to be a man, but that's perfect, honestly. That's the point. It's supposed to be shallow because then that way you are sort of forced into this label when you don't even act like that. You know how many times my own family have tried to sort of pressure me to be misogynistic? To have this sort of superiority complex because I am physically stronger, because I am the man of the house, a label that I did not ask for. Let's keep going. And this reasoning is so specifically just idiotic to me. Because even people, and I say people on purpose, even people that have penises that may even be large, right? They can still be denied their manliness because of how they act, the way they present, if they wear makeup, if they dress a certain way, if they talk a certain way, if they have sex or have relations with certain people. All of that then alters their sort of sense of manliness from the outside. And then niggas would be like, oh, well, you know, he ain't a real man. Something wrong with him, you know? Something's not right with that. And how can you be a man but wrong? How can you make a mistake in terms of identity? How does that work? Even down to just sort of subtle body language, bro. It can make you a sissy just like that. And what do the straights say? You ain't a man, you's a freak, you's a sissy. Who gonna be the boys?
I believe that if one of your children come out and say that they're gay, you should immediately ask them, who raped you, baby?
Fucking hate that phrase, bro. But God forbid you actually accept the ostracization. You accept being alienated. You accept that you actually are not a man, like what everybody says. But once you do this, once you give consent, that's when they take it away from you. Because actually, no, you are a man. You're just a sort of pseudo-liminal man, you know? Like, you're a man because you have a penis. They choose to appeal to your passport, to your documents, the physical things that have no relation to how you might actually act. And people wonder why rape culture is such a huge problem in the world entirely. Y'all keep telling men that the penis controls their actions. And when a man says, I'm actually my own person, then they say, but you have a penis though, so you have to act a certain way. How can anyone find peace like this, let alone a non-binary person? You can't sit with the men because they don't see you as a man, but when you sit with other people, they say, no, we don't want you here because you're also a man. There's literally nowhere for you to go. This is the plight of being black and non-binary. I mean, my manliness is reinforced by my pigment, regardless of what I choose to do, how I choose to present myself. When I walk through society, there's already a large sort of fabric over me that says no matter what is under this is a man, because of physical things. And I mean, the questions get weird.
I'm not gonna answer that.
That's a simple question.
I'm not gonna answer that.
For context, they're discussing Bahamian transgender issues, and the presumed gentleman on the right asks a non-binary person on the left if they have a penis. We got Captain Cock over here trying to find out.
Truth.
Hold up, I'm not gonna answer that.
Wait,
I'm not gonna answer that.
Don't ask him that.
Don't ask him that.
Don't ask him that.
I have a penis.
Hold on.
I have a
Listen to
penis.
me.
I know I have a penis because when I woke up this morning, I saw it.
Why does having
I want to be careful with sort of just calling, you know, homophobic people gay and stuff, because that can very quickly go down a road that I'm very irritated by.
I don't like getting hit, girl, he's gay. If your man walk in front of you and not behind you, he's gay. If you don't open the door.
But it sounds really funny when you start asking you know, what you view to be a man about his penis, bro. Like, what are you gonna do with this information, bro? Nothing? So why are you asking? Why is this such a big deal? Remember what I said earlier about the privileging of heterosexual normativity? Big fucking words, baby. That's this manifested. Who's gonna be the boys? It has to be the black man. There's a reason why a lot of white queer people don't face these problems as much. Because when you're white, you're sort of just normal. But the stereotypes that we face as black people, as black enbies, they shackle us to our gender. Because our gender and our race work in tandem to oppress us. They ask who gonna be the boys because black men have to act a certain way to fulfill that idea, to fill that space in society that was carved out by white supremacy.
Say have a good day. What the fuck is that? Blaze, you're not a girl. Stop playing with me. You don't do that.
Who gonna be the boys? Who's gonna perform toxic masculinity? Black man, leaning into this stereotype of this sort of rugged, beastly man that just is always down to have sex and just loves women and bitches and pussy and all of that. It's fake. Nobody is born like that because you have to be taught that. And they teach you it. And then when you say, this doesn't actually make sense to me, they point to everybody else and they say, well, you're just not a man. Except you are, except you aren't, except you are, except you aren't, except you are, except you aren't. Infinity. And what makes it worse is that this performance is highly sought after when a black person decides to play into this idea of this, you know, rugged, hyper-masculine, toxic persona. The whites them eat it up. They love that. White women and white men. And it even works on black people too. We are not immune to our own fetishization. And the fetishization gets worse with darker complexions. You'll know that style of comedy where it's like light skin versus dark skin, and the dark skin is a sort of like
manly, sort of masculine pillar of just balls and
penis and stuff, and then the light skin is this, you know, zesty flavored lollipop with a side at yoo-hoo. Thusly, from a racial standpoint, I am nearly chained to my identity as a black man. No matter how much I might try to sort of wiggle out of it, I am utterly chained to it. And I use that word intentionally because, like I said, everything that I'm going to talk about today goes back to slavery. The same way black people had to learn to rationalize civility through what white people do, queer people have to rationalize civility through what straight people do, and that's heteronormativity. Earlier I mentioned that a lot of queer people seem to struggle with my own identity, and even that sentence, even saying it now, it's still just kind of, it's so jarring to me because it's like, how can you be queer but you don't understand queerness?
Some of y'all fruity pebbles need a little more sugar, because how is it that so many of y'all niggas queer but y'all don't understand non-binary people? Like, you understand that the whole gender thing is like made up, right? I mean, you literally gay. Like, you gonna burn in hell, you know, for being a sissy, for being gay. Like, you are gonna burn. So it's like, why you don't want just go all the way, you know? Really be radical with it, you know? You gay, take it to the next step, you know? But some of y'all actually want to be straight. Y'all just happen to be gay and you just thinking, oh, well, you know, I might be gay, I might be a lesbian, I might be this, I might be that, but I'm not gonna take it too far because I'm trying to blend in with them straights. I'm trying to blend in with them straight people. But I can't wait for you to burn in hell. I could be right there, but I could be laughing at your ass, man.
We can apply this to queerness as a whole. In the Bahamas, frankly, we are very queer. It's a very, very queer place. But a lot of the times they choose to reproduce things that they see in straight relationships. It's sort of a ticket that you have to give to society to say, hey, we're kind of close to straight people. I'm actually the masculine person in this lesbian relationship, so we're normal. That's how you survive. That's how you function in a society that is founded on the binary of man and woman. There's certain frames that we have to sort of fit into in order to be queer. And that sentence is contradictory because queerness is something that cannot be put into a shape. So when you put it into a shape, you stop being queer. a lot of the sort of gay liberation and even black liberation too, the parallels are there, is us trying to say we are just like you. Look at how much we can act just like you. No, I can be a black person, but I can talk very polite and I can talk very clear. I can remove my dialect.
I'm not gonna shoot you. I'm not gonna steal from you. And you can even call me nigga. I'll smile and laugh right there with you, buddy.
The equivalent of being gay is just like, yeah, you know, I might be a gay woman, but, you know, getting lone pussy. I like that. The fuck am I doing right now? There is an unconscious desire to fit the queer mind into the binary basin, wash it of all the things that you can't really do anything with, and function in society. You know, reproduce the ideals of being a man and a woman, breadwinner, bread giver, top, bottom, etc., etc. But did you notice that I've basically only been speaking in terms of men and women and gay men and gay women? It's because there's no space for non-binariness in this conversation at all. Being non-binary is looking at pink for girls and blue for boys and saying that it's all bullshit. All of it. The clothes, the hair, the items, the toys, the jewelry, the perfume, the makeup, everything that is gendered has got to go. Because it's all bullshit. All of it. But because non-binary people are not easy to understand, it means that nobody understands us. You know how often everyone, and I mean everybody, including gay niggas, other queer people, will just casually erase your entire identity because they don't fundamentally understand what you mean when you say you're non-binary. I mean, niggas really have no idea what the fuck we actually talking about, babe. Are y'all really queer, or are you more straight adjacent? Do you want individuality? Do you want to be your own person? Impossible! We live in an information society. Biases and assumptions are the kings and queens of this new digital landscape. And if you happen to look like me, have facial hair, be black,
This shit just don't make sense to me, B.
Well,
Like
is it?
sorry, gone.
I,
No, gone.
I,
Wait, speak, B.
fuck. I think you should just try to focus on it more. That's it.
Fuck you, man.
Just
Keep trying. Fuck you, man. Keep trying. I'm watching this freaky little video for the past 20 minutes. You think I ain't trying, B? You's my best friend, bro. I trying to understand you, but I don't understand, bro. I don't understand this, B.
I'm going to explain it one more time. Before your mind can paint me a certain way, that is who I am. Before society forces me into a certain thing, that is who I am.
Hey, I ain't trying to frustrate you, bro. Like, you gotta blind me, bro. Like this shit is
Like,
not easy for me to understand.
I know it's not
like,
easy for you to understand, but you have to
use-
try
You
harder.
You're my friend. So it just gonna take me a long time because I done grown, but like it ain't like I just learning this for the first time and I 9 years old, you know. I done grown, but so there's a lot for me to process, babe. But so if a man is like a square and then a woman is like a triangle, you're like a circle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, okay, all
I
right,
guess.
I understand it, I understand. I
Yeah.
get now, I get now, I
Okay.
get now,
Okay.
man.
Stop.
Just gotta
Stop
give
it.
me some
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
man.
Stop. Stop it.
Shoots.
Stop it.
Just gotta give me some time, man.
And thank you.
Anything for my friend, bruh. Anything for my friend, me. I can't believe this nigga's still asleep, but the fuck did you drink? Oh, you getting up? Never mind. What the fuck?
It's hard to unravel things that you've been taught your entire life. You really have to throw away everything and just start over. So what gives then? What does it mean to be non-binary? What does it mean to live outside of this binary that is so inescapable, that surrounds us? It's so present in our lives that it rivals oxygen in terms of its importance to society. But how do you disobey that? Being non-binary is realizing that there are rules to gender and simply choosing to not follow them. Thanks for watching, and I have exciting news. Why the fuck did I do that, babe? I am now streaming on Twitch. Narrators in these documentaries, they love to sneak this. They love to throw little jabs at the country people. They love to just say random shit, basically. And you'll be like, that's kind of like insulting for no reason. But these documentaries are from a white perspective. Always, always, always remember that they are from a white perspective. So do not go into these thinking that you're getting a neutral standpoint. You're not. The moment you hear that Honduras is it. Every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing stuff like this live, conversations like this, doing internet deep dives, watching documentaries, shucking and jiving, having a fun time. Check it out. And if you can't catch the lives, that's okay, because on my second channel, Overlord Dems TV, you'll find the VODs and other, cool content. So, go check it out. I'll see you there. But otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace and prosperity. Got a little fancy with that one. Bye.